2 years ago, we ventured down this path of virtual production. One of the things we had to make sure we could do was we needed a virtual production that was run by 2 people. That was one of the things that we had to figure out how to do. At some points in our production, those 2 people are going to be also in front of the camera. So how do we run an entire production, a virtual production with 2 people? Luckily, I had a lot of background knowledge on video production, so I could bring that with me. But we had the whole virtual production side we knew nothing about it. So it's taken us 2 years to get to this point where we are now up and running as a virtual production studio with 2 people. That was a tough road to go down. We've had to integrate so much technology from different companies and make sure they work with each other, and we managed to do it. It was a trial and error, but we've managed to put together a whole lots of different technology and turn it into a virtual production studio. But I have to say, one person stands out as was giving us so much good advice on how to set this up is Ralph Stream from Sevenfold Films. Without his input, we wouldn't be where we are today. He has just been such a help to us. So I encourage you to check out his films. He's put out a film, Genesis Paradise Lost. He's working on the Ark in the Darkness film and another TV series he's working on called Quantum. So we rely heavily on NewTek NDI. All of our cameras, we have 3 cameras here. We use, they're all NDI, connected to a NewTek TriCaster switcher. That really is the backbone of the system for our cameras. And one of the great things about the NewTek switcher is we've set it up where we can switch cameras just with a keypad. So we've done a live production that went across the internet with we just had a keypad, and we were able to switch cameras between those keypad. We're just using the keypad strokes. We don't need someone switching the cameras at all. It can be done in front of the camera. We've been able to output NDI across the internet. So whatever cameras we have, we're using the NDI to switch and broadcast live across the internet. Without NDI, we wouldn't be able to do this. Some of the other technology we was using is video projectors. That was a challenge. Getting video projectors calibrated in the right position, it took weeks. Literally took us weeks to calibrate those projectors. We used pixel wicks to blend and warp the image so it goes onto the screen perfectly. And the putting the screen up, putting a screen up, the custom built screen, that was a lot of fun, if I can use that word. The backbone of the virtual production is we're using Unreal Engine. We've switched over to Unreal Engine 5, which in doing that, it caused some issues. We had to relearn a lot of stuff that we'd done with Unreal Engine 4, but the image quality from Unreal Engine 5 was worth the extra month or so to get it to work. So with Unreal Engine, we are using tracked cameras. So wherever our cameras are, we can track those cameras in 3D space. So we're using, at this point in time, we're using Vive trackers. It's working for us. So the actual stage area where we have a 180 degree curved wall that curved wall is 16 meters, and it's 3 meters high. So we can actually squeeze in 3 cameras projecting what's called an inner frustum on the screen there you can see in the background. The main reason we went with projectors instead of doing an LED wall, well, a couple reasons. One, cost. The cost of an LED wall is just beyond what we can do. We're a small production studio, so cost was a factor, and also power consumption. Because where we are, we're in a remote location. We are relying just on solar energy. We're not connected to the mains. So power consumption is an issue for us here. So working with projectors was the only solution. If we wanted to do this, the only solution that we could do. One of my concerns actually was the noise from the projector. We had to source a quiet projector. We had to source projectors that weren't going to just consume too much power issues again. When we did our first sound test, I was pleasantly surprised we weren't getting any noise from the projectors, and that was a big relief when we did those tests. We had to light the studio like we would a normal studio. With LED volumes, there's going to be a little bit of bleed light onto people, reflections and things like that. We're not using LED, we're doing video projectors. So we've had to actually basically light the studio how we would normally light the studio, which that in itself created some issues because of light spill onto the screen. That's something that we had to manage. We've had to incorporate as many techniques as possible to shield the light from the screen, but be able to have enough light on our subjects as well. One of the other things that we had to consider was matching the person's lighting to the screen. That was a real issue that we've had to tackle, and we've done that in post-production. I knew that the lighting was on our subjects wasn't matching what was on the screen. I didn't know how we were going to accomplish that, but Ralph came to the rescue again. He said, you got to do it in post, use AI rotoscoping to rotoscope out the person, and then color match the person to the background. And then once you've done that, you can then adjust the color of your desired output of what you want it to eventually look like. The AI just knows what a human form looks like and was able to track the person. So we're able to separate the person from the background. Then we can color match that person to the background, and then finally put a last color grade over the entire thing. A little more complicated than that, but that's the basics of it. Rendering out real-time 3D graphics, we initially had one GPU card, and we thought, look, let's test. Let's see what that is. We're projecting out 3 projectors from one GPU card. We eventually went with NVIDIA's RTX 3090. When we did our initial tests, we were a little surprised at the low frame rate. So we had to do a lot of optimization of the 3D set. We also decided that, okay, we actually have to purchase a second one just to get our frame rates up to a reasonable rate. But, Anthony's done a great job at optimizing the sets in Unreal. Knowing Unreal Engine, you really have to know Unreal Engine. You really have to know how to optimize the sets. Otherwise, you're going to just blow out the frame rates, and it's just going to be not good. Budget was a restraint for us, and I was determined that we have a tight budget. We're going to get this done best as possible on a tight budget. And I have to say, we've managed to pull it off. I don't know how we pulled it off, but we pulled it off. The budget on the studio, if you compare it to other studios, what it costs us here is minuscule to what other production studios are doing. And it's really the output of the final product. What does the final product look like? Well, I can say the final product that we can output from here looks as good as $1 million studio. We knew we could do it, we just didn't know how at the time. And so a lot of research has gone into, how are we going to do this on a budget? And I have to say, we've done it on a tiny budget compared to other studios, which is something that I'm very proud that we've actually done it. So I want to thank everybody who has contributed to the studio. You know who you are. Without your support, both financially and prayer support, because this has been a spiritual battle to get this done. It really has. And with your financial support as well, we could not have done this without you. So that's a testament to God. God is for us. I've spent many times in prayer in the studio going, God, you've got to help us. We have a vision. The vision I had has totally come to pass, and that is because of God, and that is because of your prayers and your support in the studio. God has done the impossible in the studio. And now we have the knowledge and the expertise to pass it on to other studios, other Christian studios who want to get involved in this. We can now help them do that as well.